Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder, it is time to have a look at some economy changes which are going to be happening basically near the end of June, maybe in about a week or maybe a little bit more. It looks like a bunch of economy changes are coming in, and these are affecting a lot of the tiers of the game. We're mainly in this video going to be focusing on research costs, because generally when it comes to repair costs and stuff like that, normally there are small changes, not huge ones, and also they're all done by algorithms, so there's really not any point in going over it, since it's based entirely on player skill. There is also a bunch of stuff which is changing in the tech trees, which we're going to go over first, because this is going to make the largest difference to when you research stuff. So the first thing is in the USA tech tree, the M15A1 CGMC is moving to rank 2. Therefore, it will be good at researching stuff which is at rank 3, 2, and 1. So if you were thinking about using it, the AA, to research stuff, then yeah, I suppose this will be a little bit easier to do so. And then in Germany, there are two quite large changes happening. So the Beglet Panzer 57 and the TAM, they are being moved to another research branch after the SPZ BMP-1. So they're pretty much making a light tank branch, and this is actually really nice, because it hopefully will mean that the TAM will be able to be a little bit lower when it comes to its research costs for parts of it, since if you didn't know, because a vehicle is at the end of the line when it comes to a tech tree, the fact is, its modification costs are through the roof. That's basically how it works in War Thunder. That's why stuff like top-tier MBTs, like the M1A2 or the Leopard 2A5, their modification costs are through the roof because of that, and hopefully this helps out the TAM. It's a vehicle I've been, wanting to spade for a long time, but I can't really justify the modification costs because it's so high for something which is pretty much a lighter Leopard A1A1. Also, they are moving the Rakuten 2, and also the Rakuten Jagdpanzer 2 Hot to the another research branch after the Jagdtiger. So it feels like they're swapping these two branches around, which is kind of interesting. I suppose that makes more sense. You have like a light tank part of the tech tree, and then you have a tank destroyer part of the tech tree, so it makes a little bit more sense than just kind of higgledy-piggledy all over the place. And then the Soviets are getting a few changes, so the T-55A and the T-62 has switched places. So the T-62 will now come after the T-55A, even though they're exactly the same BR. And the reason why they're doing this is because they're grouping together the T-62 and the T-62M1. So you'll be able to research past the group once you have researched the T-62 in order to get the T-72A. So you'll no longer have to research the T-62M1 to be able to get through to the T-72. Now, that's kind of sad, if I'm honest with you, because the T-62M1 is already a vehicle which is woefully forgotten about. It's at a bit of a dodgy BR at 9.0. There's not really a lot you can run with it. I've been running it with my 9.3 lineup as a third backup medium, and it's a pretty decent vehicle. When it first came out, it got harassed by helicopters, all the time, but now at least it is a little bit better. But you just can't put a solid lineup around it, and also at 9.0 you have some very strong vehicles running around, the XM1 of course running around, the MBT-70, the XM803, KPZ-70, Rakuten, then you've got stuff like the G91 from the air. There's a lot of stuff around that BR which does absolutely harrowing things to the T-62M1, so yeah, definitely struggles a little bit. But this does mean that progression to the top echelons of the game is easier for the Soviets. They've also moved the BMP-3 to rank 6. It was rank 7 before, so that just means that, well, right now it doesn't make any difference, but if we ever do get a rank 8 in ground forces, then it is going to make a difference, because it won't be able to efficiently research that. It does mean that it will be able to now efficiently research rank 5 though, where before it was only efficient for rank 6 and rank 7, so that's kind of nice. The Aviation tech tree changes. They're grouping a bunch of vehicles, so the SP2U2 and 2U3 are being grouped, so you'll only have to research the 2U2 to go forward. They're grouping the A26Bs as well. I would actually say it's worth playing both of these anyway, because they do give really different experiences because of the different loadouts, especially on the offensive armament side of things. So even though they're grouped, I'd give them both a go. The Germans, the TARs are getting grouped, so the 152H1 and the 152C3, the A1U4 and the B2U4 have been grouped, and they're moving the Heinkel HU111H16 to rank 2, interestingly enough. Then the DO-217K1 and the DO-217M1 have been grouped. For the Soviets, the two IL-10s are getting grouped in the tree, and the Yak-9UT and the Yak-3U switch places, even though they're the same BR. I'm guessing, and this is a big guess, that the Yak-3U might go down in BR to a lower BR. It started off as a higher BR, actually, and it's progressively gone down, kind of like the I-225. The French, the D500 and D501 have been grouped, and this, to me, just means that now a lot of these changes, where they are grouping a lot of vehicles together, means that it's going to be easier, once again, to get to top tier, which is great. Then we have Navy tech tree changes, so they're switching the Jaguar class and the MZ1. Once again, that makes sense. They're basically doing it for BR differences. And for Italy, the VAS 201 and the MS15 are switching, and the MV611 and the MS472 are switching. I think that's pretty much because of their different power levels. They're trying to make it so you get, the progressively better vehicle as you go along. And I think that's completely fine. So what do these changes scream to me? These changes scream to me that they're just trying to make it so as you research up tech trees, you go basically by BR and power. So every time you go up a tech tree, you know that you're going from the lower echelons of power to the highest echelons of power. So therefore they're grouping together stuff which may be the same power level, and then they're pushing forward with other stuff and changing their ranks based on how decent they are. They're also trying to fix a few things when it comes to, which ones need to be where when it comes to the grouping. So yeah, that's generally just a thing to think about. I think the way they've structured this is just made it easier to research across the board, which is good for the player. Now, this obviously isn't it, right? This is just the changes in the tech trees, how we are going to be able to see where vehicles are. The main thing are the research parameters and the repair and rewards. So let's get to that. And I'm going to have to switch screens here to this one, just so you can see it. And as I said, we're going to be focusing on the research cost part of it, because if I'm honest with you, SL, I've done many videos over the last month or so talking about SL, being able to get SL. It's not hard in SL, it's not hard in the game to create an SL bank, also ways of being able to research efficiently, and also grind, silver lions through either premium or non-premium means. I hope the videos over the last week have helped with this. So we're going to focus on just the research costs, because I know a lot of people are going to focus on the damn repair costs again, and all I can say is it's literally just machine learning. Like that, at the end of the day, that's all it is. It is an algorithm doing it. It's not specific people going, oh, this needs to go up by 10 or this needs to go down by 10. So also going through the research costs, what is actually really nice to see is the majority of them, not all, but the majority of them are decreases, and the large changes are all decreases. So you can see here the F4U4B and the F4U4 going down by 17,000, 14,000 respectively, 10,000 for the A4B as well. Not a huge change because it's still 380,000, but it's a nice little change. Then stuff like the M56 down by 32,000. These eventually add up over time. 70,000 for these two vehicles, the XM803 and the MBT70, and 30,000 for the M1 Abrams. One thing I will mention is it seems like they haven't touched the top echelon of the game, and what I would actually mention is I had a look through all of these. I did do some cumulative calculations, and overall the amount of research has decreased by a decent amount. So that means if you tally up all the differences, it's overall a negative. So therefore it is easier, at least for the vehicles that are presented, to be able to research through them. That's not including the grouped vehicles, which also make it easier. One thing I will mention, though, is I think we needed these reductions. The reason why we needed these reductions is because so many ruddy top-tier vehicles have been added over the last few patches. Just for the Americans, there was 5 new pieces of aviation at 380k and above, which is just insanity when you think about it. The 2 F-104s, then you have the F-3H, the Demon, then you have the A-4B, and then of course the other Phantom. That's 5 380 to 400,000 vehicles just over the space of what, 2 or 3 or 4 months? So of course you need to reduce the amount of research getting up to those things. Also the same with high tiers, you know, the HSTVL was added for the Americans. So the question is, does the cumulative difference from this actually be the same or lower than if you want to add in all of those new vehicles that were added? And that is a calculation that I will do later because I'll need to create a whole spreadsheet on it, so it's going to take me a bit of time. But my guess is right now, compared to the start of the year, we're probably ahead of the amount of maximum RP you needed for a tree, just because of the amount of like F-104s and just top tier vehicles they threw at the game, including the Italian tech tree, which is of course something that a lot of people forget about. So it is nice that they've made the progress once again easier to get to top tier by quite a large amount, and a lot of vehicles such as the Vulcan, the M42 and also the M19 are going to benefit a lot from these changes, even if you go to other nations. One thing that hasn't really changed is, as I said, stuff such as the top tier vehicles, like stuff that the Baglet has lowered a lot, the Jagdpanzer 45 has lowered a lot, stuff like the M48 Super. Thank God the M48 Super is reduced. I have no idea why the M48 Super came out at 390,000 RP. That was ridiculous, whoever made that decision. So thank God it's being lowered to 250,000, which is still too high. You need to swap these two numbers, the KPZ and the M48, for it to make any sense at all. Then you have stuff like the 2K going down. So once again, what we're seeing with a lot of these BR changes is a lot of reductions from about 5.0 to 9.0 or 5.0 to 9.3. And then above that, the top echelon, like the 9.7s and the 10.0s, they ain't getting touched at all. That's the way you got to look at this stuff. There's only a few top tier vehicles which are getting affected, and those are ships. Like I think it's the Furitaka. Let's see. Yeah, the Furitaka is going down by 100,000 RP here, which is really nice for it. But, you know, it's one of those things where it isn't, in my opinion, going down enough to try and get people in. But 100,000 is a hell of a chunk of RP, so you can't be mad at that. You can see across the board, once again, a lot of vehicles are being reduced when it comes to its RP. A lot of bombers getting reduced. A lot of vehicles which aren't meta vehicles or aren't seen as meta vehicles. A lot of AA, a lot of tank destroyers, stuff like that. They're all going down. A few of them are going up, like the Roycat's going up, so try and research that before these changes come in. Then stuff like the F30 is going down. So as I said, the general rule is, when we look at that 5.0 to 9.0 area, they are reducing. It's just above that echelon, which seems to have not moved at all. So a lot of the 390s, or a lot of the 380s, or a lot of the 400s are still those. You know, it's kind of as simple as that. Nothing has really changed. One massive change for China, though, is the fact that the ZTZ, well, not even just those two, all these three here, the ZTZ 59D1, the 96, and the 96A, they are going down by a lot. You can see the 96 is going down by 170,000, 150,000 on the A, and 70,000 on the 59D. These are ridiculously good, trying to hopefully get more people into playing top-tier China, and also getting them ready for what is probably the ZTZ-99 or other stuff coming to the top tiers of Chinese gameplay, such as radar-guided AA and stuff like that. So once again, very positive change. just means you have to research a lot less. And then there are a few which go up. The R1 is going up by 71,000, which is one of the largest upticks that we've seen when it comes to research, so you do have to watch out for that. The Romore is going down by 30 grand, the M47 is going down by 50 grand, the MD42A is going up by 71,000 for some reason, but then stuff like the J28 is going down by 71,000, MX-10RC going down to 70,000, with the Brennus going up by 30,000. Some of these are going up, but the majority of them, as I said before, cumulatively, if you add them all together, it is a negative number, showing that we are going down in research. Another one that has been changed, which is very significant, is the BMP3. BMP3 going down by 140,000. It's going down to 250,000, which makes sense now that it is a rank 6 vehicle instead of a rank 7 one. So yeah, the main thing to take away from this research change is obviously the changes in the tech tree. Just make sure that you're up to date on it when this change comes out, so you know what's going on. But the main thing is, yes, research has gone down. The amount of research required to get to the next tier and to get to the next vehicle has all pretty much reduced, apart from rank 7 and also rank 6 for jets. But it may not be enough because of the fact that they've added so many high-tier vehicles over the last 2 updates. I haven't done that calculation yet, but as I said, it seems like it's still on teetering, that we need more research right now than we did a few months ago in order to get to top tier. So probably incredibly close, but still. That's not taking into account rewards, that's not taking into account the new grouped vehicles, and that's not taking into account a bunch of other things. So overall, for the average player, these are incredibly positive, because you'll be able to get through the trees quicker, you'll be able to experience different vehicles and have fun, but it's not really going to affect that much when it comes to researching top tier vehicles. Anyway, as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Battling Bacon, Blackie, Chris Giltnane, Conte Baraka, Daniel Stanton, Elove Goat, Jay Wilt, Martinez, Trigger Hippie, Universe, Eugens Terry, and also I'm Devilish and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.